Hey y'all, welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm, rural Southeast Ohio, USA, and welcome to the meat bird production barn. We are raising a flock of 301 meat chickens. Meat chickens are also called broilers. This type of meat chicken is kind of the industry standard in the poultry industry for meat chickens. They are called Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens, and actually it's basically a hybrid, but it's not like a first generation hybrid where we can go back to a set of parents that have been crossbred and they're the next generation, the offspring. This particular hybrid, Cornish Rock Cross, actually, from research we've done, my understanding goes back to about the 1940s in America, and there was actually a nationwide contest to produce the chicken of tomorrow or the chicken of the future, but the goal was to basically enhance the feed to meat conversion capability of chickens that were already sort of predispositioned to good meat production. So, even today we still have egg production breeds that are considered dual purpose breeds, and they would be breeds that we would consider keeping for egg production and then processing well into their development as meat birds. We would have got eggs out of them first, and then later on, when it was basically when they weren't really productive for us for eggs anymore, would have used them for meat. But this is totally different even from that kind of bird. This is nothing like heritage birds, chickens, nothing like dual purpose chickens. This is a really specialized hybrid, and it's actually I kind of brought up that little bit of that background on it because it's actually a hybrid that does go back to a couple of breeds, but it goes back many generations, and so there's been breeds crossed and crossbreedings done over multiple generations to keep this genetics really specialized for meat production. And truthfully, it's basically considered an industry secret. So there's not a whole lot of information slipped out, from the hatcheries where we can get really good Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens. For example, we always work with the same hatchery. We don't get anything for putting their name out there. We get our chicks from Mount Healthy Hatchery around Cincinnati, Ohio. So this year alone, first half of the year, we produced 950 meat chickens. They were all from Mount Healthy Hatchery. We have 300 here, and we're set to do another 100 after this flock. I want to show you this real quick. We've talked about birds can turtle, chickens can turtle. That's how it happens. I think we missed it, but well, it might do it. She might do the same thing again, but see how she's propped up on one side, and like if another bird would knock her over or she goes to roll around a little bit, she could lose her balance and end up on her back. And if we're here in the barn, we can save her life, because if she gets on her back, she's going to eventually suffocate. But the way they kind of stretch and dust bathe and roll, and as they're developing more meat in the front in that chicken breast, they can lose their balance pretty easily. So if they get rolled over, that's a really that's a risk to them. That's a life-threatening risk. So anyway, was saying about Mount Healthy Hatchery is where all our chicks have come from. So even easily 2,000 chicks we've raised in the last 3 years. So they're very reliable. So the point I'm getting at there is that the hatcheries that you can really get good Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens from, it's kind of like Duke the dog from Bush's Beans back in the day. He wasn't telling that secret recipe. So it's kind of like that with the hatcheries. Like, nobody's out there advertising, well, take this bird and cross them, and you're going to get a Cornish Rock Cross meat chicken. And in fact, you're probably not going to find anything that you're going to cross and get this same bird, because this isn't a first generation offspring. This is the product of really intricate genetics and hybridization over multiple generations. And that's how we've got the Cornish Rock Cross meat chicken, is basically our kind of layperson's understanding, but at the end of the day, if you want to produce poultry and you want to produce it efficiently, this is the type of bird that you want to do that with. So looking these birds over, they're halfway through production. We're actually on day 23. That bird is small right there. That one's a small one. This is a small one. This is a small one. I don't know why all the small ones are like standing together, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Most of them are a lot bigger than those 4 or 5 that I just had the camera on. Got some good size right there. But most of the time what I hear when other people see our flock is, they're so big, they've grown so much. And then we're around them every day, a lot during every day, hours upon hours every day. So I get to a point where I'm like, are they growing? Are they going to finish? Here's another little thing in the flock I can show you. This bird right here. See the wound on its hip, pointed hip? So does that hurt the meat? No, but there's potential that will show up maybe as a dark spot in that cut of meat, or if that bird is left whole right there. But also it's scabbed over, it's dried up. We aren't going to do anything with that because I don't remember what video it was in, but we've talked about it before. If we draw attention to that, other birds are going to start to pick at it, and we're going to have a worse problem than what we started with. But most likely, another bird's toenail has scratched that bird when they've been, laying down close together, or they go to get up, or they go to move, just like it's kind of going on in that corner back there. They go to get up and move, and they just step on each other. So temperatures are mild today. Day 23, Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens. Going to grow to 42 days old, and they'll be processed into poultry. And we're on day, as I said, 23. We have males, we have females. This is called a straight run flock, so that's not an issue. So we're getting a really good look at the flock. Temperatures are mild, so they're comfortable. It's actually just now 70. We would assume, as a point of reference, that these birds want to be in the high 70s. Temperature-wise, but obviously they're comfortable, they're not stressed, so that's a very good thing. If it was a little warmer, I think they would be moving around a little more on their own initiative. As it is, we're coming into the pen and walking them around a lot, walking around near them and encouraging them to walk around. We do monitor the quality of the manure that they put out. That's simply a visual monitoring. We look to see what it's looking at. Does it look like normal chicken manure, or is it looking runny? So it is looking good, looking like normal chicken manure. A couple days ago, it was looking a little runny, and that's actually why we started turning the heat lamps back on overnight. It's been dipping down into the low 60s and high 50s now overnight, and we're expecting 40s the rest of over this weekend overnight, even though it's 70 during the day. So a few days ago we were seeing some runny manure, so that kind of indicated to me the birds were having some temperature stress from cool temperatures overnight, and that's can cause their manure quality to change. So because it affects their activity level, and if they're going to water, if they're going to food. And that's usually why you end up seeing maybe a change in the manure quality, it becoming runnier. So especially, and then when it's heat stress, actually when it's heat stress, you'll see the manure become like water. And what's going on there is they're so hot that they're not inclined to go eat when it's hot, so they don't. And so they will go to water. You might have to make them, but they will go to water, but they're not inclined to eat. So they're basically not taking any solid food in, and they're just drinking water. Well, what goes in has to come out, right? So when it's heat stress, you see a lot of just watery manure. When it's colder temperatures, or it's a kind of a chill stress, even if it's mild, you'll still see manure color, but it's going to be a runnier consistency. And we were seeing that. Hello. They love the camera. Hello. So we were seeing that. So we decided that it was best to give them a little bit of heat, supplemental heat at night. So we've been doing that. So I guess I started talking about the birds and just kept talking and didn't really hit on a particular subject or anything. But it's just interesting to see the flock. I'm Melissa, by the way, if I haven't introduced myself, or if you're new here. Welcome to the community at Twin Oaks Farm Poultry on YouTube. And you know, we have this channel just for one thing, to put the message out there that real food, you know, comes from farms and gardens. And real, in specifically now, we're hearing a lot about this lab cultured meat stuff. That's bad. That stuff is bad. It's synthetic, it's fake. Please avoid it. Please avoid it. Definitely real chicken comes from real chickens. We also raise for ourselves and in our local area to sell. We're in rural Southeast Ohio, USA, but we also raise beef and pork. But regardless of where you get it from, love local ag wherever local is for you by supporting it, by reaching out to farmers, sourcing your food as locally as you possibly can. And we're past the age where we can assume that because we shopped at the local grocery store, we sourced it locally. That's not necessarily sourcing it locally anymore. You almost have to like reach out and network and meet the producer, meet the farmer, go to that farm market, and that's a better bet that you're sourcing it locally. You know, but even there you can check, was it trucked in, you know, from somewhere in a multi-state region, and that's okay too. It's still closer than something that was raised in South America, sent to Europe or Asia to be packed and processed and packed and then sent back to America. So, you know, but try to shop locally. You know, we say live small, love big, and heart local ag wherever local is for you. So that's kind of what we want to get that message out there. But this is also part of our life. This is what we do. We started out raising poultry for ourselves, and we liked it so much we wanted other people to experience homegrown quality chicken. So we do this on this scale of the goal is like maybe around 1,500 birds a year. Last year we produced 650. The first 6 months of this year we produced 950. We're on track for the year to do 1,350 this year. So we have to kind of continue growing our customer base to keep up with our numbers in order to finish expanding to 1,500 birds a year, but we're getting there. So thanks for joining us. Please share about our channel. We'd love to grow to 1,000 subscribers or more. We're working really, really hard to do that. So thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate it. And thanks for taking a look at our birds. As I said, we're going to grow them out to 42 days. We're going to give you a video a day during their production to show you the day-by-day progress of a flock of Cornish Rock Cross meat chickens. And they are growing. I do get to where I wonder if we're going to get them finished. But they do. They get there. They keep growing. They have a really rapid growth pattern. Woo, we're getting close. And they do. They keep that growth up throughout. So we're actually fixing to put in feed for the day. Their feeders will hold another 100 pound of feed. So we're feeding 300 chickens, 100 pound of 22% protein a day. We're going to keep them on the 22% protein because temperatures are mild. It's not stressing them out. It's not overly hot protein value for them to consume. So we're going to stick with that. And they are drinking water well. I've already filled 20 gallons of water once today. So, you know, like in 24 hours, they're probably consuming around 20 gallons. So that's what's up. Hey, if y'all have any questions, please make sure you put them down in comments. We always answer what we can and research what we need to, and we try to get a reply to you. And really appreciate you joining me. But definitely share that message with family and friends. You know, the only way we're going to avoid additives in the food sources that we directly take in is to know more about where our food is coming from. So that's the message we want to get out there. Thanks so much, y'all. God bless you. Please join me back in the barn for day 24.